shining back. It's just another wave of the universe looking
Diddy,
at
you
it.
talking about Diddy?
Diddy. You know, even Epstein, all of them. What one human being does, all human beings are doing, because we're just really, what happens in the sea over here, we don't say this wave
What an
just crashed.
interesting thing to say. If one human being does, so meaning someone taught Epstein, someone taught Diddy.
Never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
When I had Suge Knight on, Suge Knight said, who did he say, Rob, that taught Diddy? He gave a name. Quincy? No, was it Quincy? Clive Davis. Yeah, he said Clive Davis.
Clive Davis.
Yeah, he talked about that, what Clive did early on.
Hollywood has been grinding people down for decades. The powerful ones, the ones with the big names and the connections, have spent years taking advantage of men, women, and sometimes kids who just wanted a chance. And now Terrence Howard has entered the conversation, and he's not holding back. Diddy, Epstein, Clive Davis, Ellen. These are just a few of the names tied to what many people are calling a full-blown epidemic of abuse inside the industry. So what exactly did Terrence Howard say? And where does Ellen fit into all of this? Howard's argument is that destructive behavior doesn't appear out of nowhere. It gets passed down, cycle after cycle, generation after generation.
So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role.
Because of that, he said he tries to extend some compassion toward the people involved rather than just pure rage. He wasn't excusing anyone. He was pointing at the people who taught them. He grouped Ellen, Diddy, and Jeffrey Epstein together to make a broader point about learned behavior. According to Howard, Ellen didn't become who she became inside a vacuum. Nobody does. Here's what's easy to forget now. For a very long time, almost no one in Hollywood said a single word against Ellen DeGeneres. Not because they weren't paying attention, but because Ellen had spent years building one of the most airtight public images the entertainment world had ever seen. She wasn't just a talk show host. She was supposed to be America's nicest person. She gave away cars, showed up for families on their hardest days, donated to charities, danced on stage every afternoon, and eventually earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
In a career spanning 3 decades, Ellen DeGeneres has lifted our spirits and brought joy to our lives as a stand-up comic, actor, and television star. In every role, she reminds us to be kind to one another and to treat people as each of us wants to be treated. At a pivotal moment, her courage and candor helped change the hearts and minds of millions of Americans, accelerating our nation's constant drive toward equality and acceptance for all. Again and again, Ellen DeGeneres has shown us that a single individual can make the world a more fun, more open, more loving place, so long as we just keep swimming.
3 decades in, she'd built something most people in Hollywood never come close to, a reputation as the kindest face on television. Her message was simple: be kind, treat people the way you want to be treated. And at one of the most charged moments in American history, her honesty helped shift how millions of people thought about acceptance. So how did it all unravel? For a while, Ellen felt genuinely untouchable. Beloved by millions, celebrated everywhere she went. But that image cracked fast once former employees started speaking up, and what they described had nothing to do with the warm, feel-good show people tuned into every afternoon. Bullying, intimidation, a work environment built on fear.
How was she mean to you? Like, give an example of like a day. Like, was it an energy thing? Was she just short with you? I mean, what was exactly?
It was like
happening?
if you didn't pitch in her wheelhouse, then she looked at you like you had just fucking stabbed her puppy. And then there was this process of pushing people out of the circle. And you want to be in the circle because there's a lot of fear going on.
Yeah.
And you're in or out.
The woman whose entire brand was kindness was suddenly being painted as something else entirely. And being pushed out of her inner circle wasn't just a career setback. The fear of that rejection was enough to control people completely. That same writer said she could handle it personally.
It didn't really bother me that much because I'd written on a lot of shows before and I kind of knew what it was like to have tough bosses.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote for Bill Maher.
Sure.
And so, like, I was just like, tough enough, but then there was these first-time writers they used to cry. There was a lot of crying in the hallways.
Wow.
Yeah.
People who had just landed their dream jobs on one of the biggest daytime shows in the country, breaking down before the day was over. That's not a demanding boss. That's something much darker.
Just feels like it's not a good energy for a workplace or a show. I feel like you're getting less out of people by treating them like that.
I
what do you
think
think?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. I think in the long run. I think in the short run you might get more, but in the long run people
break
get
them.
exhausted. You
Yeah.
break them. They can't. And then you hit sweeps, which is like you're working 12, 14-hour days because it's like the ratings months and then nobody can give anything and
Yeah.
you just hit walls.
So when sweeps week rolls around and the 12-hour days start and ratings are on the line, nobody can deliver because they're already running on empty. So how does someone spend nearly 30 years building the image of the nicest person on television only to watch it collapse almost overnight? Did anyone inside that building ever try to stop it? To answer that, you have to go back to the beginning. By 2002, Ellen's career looked finished. She was struggling to get hired anywhere after her public coming out had cost her everything in Hollywood. Then Pixar came calling. She was cast as Dory in Finding Nemo, a role that wasn't even originally written for a woman. Writer Andrew Stanton reportedly saw something in Ellen's naturally quick, playful stream of consciousness style that fit the forgetful Blue Tang perfectly. It turned out to be one of the smartest casting decisions in animation history. Finding Nemo earned nearly $1 billion worldwide and handed Ellen exactly what she needed: a brand new audience and a family-friendly image she could rebuild around. An HBO comedy special followed, and then in 2003 she launched The Ellen DeGeneres Show with Jennifer Aniston as her very first guest, fresh off the finale of Friends.
They stop and actually ring the doorbell?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not nice.
No,
Don't do that.
No.
Don't ring doorbells.
They'll stop. They kind of, I got one chick flashed the camera.
Oh, you saw me?
That was you. Ellen!
I was just joking around.
Oh, no. I thought it was you or Brittany. I wasn't sure.
A lot of people confuse me with Brittany.
Yeah.
The show hit immediately. Games, dancing, surprise giveaways, feel-good moments. Audiences were locked in. The show became a daily escape for millions of people, and it delivered in ways nobody anticipated. Emmy after Emmy piled up in the early seasons, and by the mid-2000s, Ellen didn't just have a seat at the ratings table, she had the whole table. But something wasn't adding up behind the scenes. Writers from her original sitcom started talking, and their accounts painted a very different picture from the woman smiling on camera. When Ellen didn't like a joke, she'd reportedly lock eyes on the writers and ask why they kept delivering such terrible material. The stories didn't spread far at the time. Most people missed them completely. Then there's the Grace and Chance chapter, one that almost nobody remembers clearly. Ellen was so inspired by the young singer's talent that she launched a label called 1111 and signed him as her very first artist. From the outside, it looked like a fairy tale. A kid blows up on YouTube, catches Ellen's attention, and she builds an entire record label around his future.
My name is Grayson Chance. I'm an artist and a singer-songwriter. She wasn't just one of the biggest champions, she was my champion. And I just remember multiple times her saying, I want to be in this for a long time with you. Your mentor, your guide through the industry, we're going to do this together. She looked at my mom that day and she said, you will never have to work a day in your life ever again.
Except it wasn't a fairy tale at all.
All of a sudden it became a little more like I kind of had to walk on eggshells and I really had to behave. Because if I didn't, she was going to get nasty with my mom or she was going to get nasty with me. And the second that all of a sudden I wasn't going to get her to the success that she wanted and to the imprint, she not only cast me aside, she casted aside the entire project. And any interaction with her from that day on was completely surface level, and I was just another guest on the show.
Years later, Grayson came forward and described the experience as nothing short of traumatic. He called her manipulative and opportunistic and said he believed Ellen viewed him as her own version of Justin Bieber.
This article came out today on Rolling Stone, and if you can see the headline, it says that I'm finally ready to talk about Ellen. It also says that the singer opens up for the first time about how he's never met someone more manipulative, more self-centered, and more blatantly opportunistic than her. And I stand behind all of it. You know, I've been wanting to tell this story now for multiple years and was repeatedly told not to. But the truth is what you saw on TV and what was sort of pitched out, you know, to the mainstream just wasn't what was happening behind the scenes. And I think now that I'm 25 and I'm older, I can recognize that what happened to me as a kid was not cool, it was not okay. And I've had to wrestle with so much of that PTSD and so much of that trauma as I've been growing up as a musician and as I've been fighting in the industry to continue to make music and to still do this.
The comparison wasn't random either. Both were young male vocalists with that same floppy-haired teen heartthrob energy, both discovered online before the industry caught on. Ellen thought she'd found her cash cow. Grayson thought he'd found his big break. They were both completely wrong about each other. He's since said she was controlling over every aspect of his career, and that she simply didn't have the knowledge or real-world experience to develop a child artist at that level. When his second album underperformed, Grayson says Ellen vanished entirely. No calls, no texts, no contact. She disappeared like he'd never existed. He eventually returned to her show in 2019, and he describes that appearance as awkward and staged.
And I'm sure people will have a lot to say about the article and how I maybe appear ungrateful for her efforts in the beginning. And the truth is that I am grateful for her giving me a start. But I'm more grateful to myself for the moments when I got dropped and everything went awry when I was a kid. I'm thankful to 15-year-old me that picked up the pieces and kept on going and kept on fighting. And the last thing I will say is I am so continuously inspired by people that tell the truth and that muster up the bravery to tell the truth when it is difficult, when it's non-convenient, and when it's painstaking. That's why I did this, because I needed to tell the truth, and now it's finally out there.
Around the same time, others were beginning to speak up too. In a career spanning 3 decades, Ellen DeGeneres had been celebrated as a stand-up comic, an actress, and one of television's most beloved hosts. She'd been praised for reminding everyone to be kind, to treat people the way they'd want to be treated themselves. But the cracks in that image were starting to show, and the floodgates were about to open. Hassan Minhaj had to correct Ellen on how to say his own last name during a guest appearance. She pushed back and insisted she was right. The clip spread fast, and nobody was laughing on Ellen's side that day. Ellen ran a game where Taylor had to name every man she'd ever been romantically linked to, on camera, in front of millions. Taylor looked like she was searching for an exit. She was visibly shaken, close to tears, quietly asking Ellen to stop. Ellen didn't stop.
So let's show some pictures. All right.
I don't know what I'm...
You're supposed to ring
But
one.
I don't want to.
All right, I'll ring.
Because they'll send me angry emails
Here.
and I don't want to get them.
I'll hold it for you.
What are you doing to me? Oh, damn it,
All right.
This makes me feel so bad about myself. Every time I come up here, you put like a different dude up there on the screen. And it just makes me really question like what I stand for as a human being. There's never been 2 guys on the screen 2 visits in a row. It's sad.
You don't need to be a Taylor Swift fan to recognize when someone's being cornered. Ellen had the power to end that moment and chose not to. That tells you everything. And this wasn't a one-time slip. It was a pattern. Make the guest uncomfortable. Let them squirm. Watch them crack.
Taylor Swift is most certainly not the only person who fell victim of Ellen doing this. This was kind of her MO. She wants to make her guests feel uncomfortable. She wants to kind of harbor an energy that makes her guests feel like they're being put on the spot. Celebrity or not, media trained or not, there's just certain things you can't prepare for. And there are certain things that happen on that show that just genuinely did not need to happen.
Years later, Taylor admitted those kinds of interviews left her genuinely anxious. That's not a small thing. Then 2020 hit, and one tweet changed everything. Comedian Kevin T. Porter posted something that looked simple on the surface. He called Ellen notoriously one of the meanest people alive and asked followers to reply with their wildest Ellen stories, promising to donate to the LA Food Bank for each one. Within hours, thousands of responses flooded in. Some sounded almost unbelievable. Others came from people who said they'd worked with her directly. That tweet didn't just go viral, it cracked something open. Former employees started going on record, and the word they kept reaching for wasn't difficult or demanding. It was fear. That word showed up again and again, and it landed differently than any gossip ever had. Her show eventually got canceled. Her audience drifted. It seemed like the world had moved on. Then, September 2024 pulled her name right back into the spotlight. When Sean Diddy Combs was arrested on charges that genuinely stunned people, the internet did what it always does. Old photos resurfaced, old posts got screenshotted and recirculated. One of those posts was a birthday message Ellen had written years earlier, calling Diddy a warm, playful nickname like they'd been close forever, because they had been. She'd interviewed him multiple times. She'd attended his famous white parties. The moment that birthday post started making the rounds, the questions came fast. People weren't just curious about the friendship itself. They wanted to know what it actually meant.
When does your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that. But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party.
Uh-huh.
No, it'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 2, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there.
Ellen had spent years being the face of warmth and inclusion. Now her connection to Diddy was putting everything under a microscope. Someone pointed out that he'd appeared on her show around children, and that opened up a conversation nobody wanted to have.
Diddy has interacted with children on the Ellen show. There's just a conversation to be had about the ethics and the actual safety of doing this. I don't even want my child in the same city as this man, okay? P. Diddy would go onto Ellen's show. The typical topics of conversation surrounded partying, drinking, women.
You do every night till 6 in the morning. You don't go to clubs every night.
No, I make love a lot.
Your new
Yes,
fragrance.
yes.
Well, why is it called 3 a.m.?
Because we all have a story about 3 a.m. It's in the vicinity of, the time you do that.
What made it worse was Ellen's response, which was no response at all. After the allegations went public, after the footage surfaced that left most people stunned, she said nothing. No statement, no post, nothing.
In general, this friendship has been widely problematic, and after all the allegations came out against Diddy, Ellen was silent. She did not say anything even after that video came out. Silence.
Ellen, were you surprised by the allegations about P. Diddy? Did that surprise you about P. Diddy? He's been on your show many times.
And when you have openly shared that that is a close friend of yours, and you are silent in the wake of his horrendous behavior.
For someone who'd built her entire brand on being vocal and compassionate, that silence said everything. People called it out directly in videos that spread fast. Here's the part that's hard to argue with. Ellen didn't just know Diddy casually. She went on national television and admitted she knew exactly how wild his parties were, and that she'd personally been invited to them. That's not gossip. That's her own words, on camera, in front of the entire country. And if you need context for what those parties actually were, Diddy's former bodyguard laid it out. He described a night when Diddy rented a mansion for Meek Mill's birthday, paying around $25,000 for the place. It was a small group, just him, Wolf Mace, and Puff, plus one other person. What made it a story wasn't the party. It was what the property owner found after they left.
Diddy had rented a mansion out for Meek Mill's birthday party, and he had rented it for like $25,000. They came recently. This happened a long time ago, but they recently just made a statement that they found loads of cocaine. I wonder what they did with the cocaine, because they didn't turn it over to the police. They said they found loads of cocaine, razor blades. They said that the sheets were bloody, nasty. They found a whole lot of used condoms. It was a Diddy party, giving in Meek Mill's honor for his birthday.
The owner never turned the over to police, which raised its own questions. And on top of the rental fee, Diddy's crew was hit with additional charges just for the cleanup. Now here's where the story takes a darker turn. Diddy has a long history of silencing the people closest to him. And the case of Kim Porter is one of the most talked about examples of exactly that. At the time of her death, Kim was reportedly working on a book, one that would have exposed the abuse she endured and the crimes she witnessed firsthand. That book never made it out. Her passing left people close to Diddy deeply unsettled. Most stayed silent out of fear, but John D. went on record anyway. He said, "I believe that Al knows that Puff has some powerful people around him and some people doing some things for him that could danger his life." That's not vague. That's someone who knows the risks and is talking anyway. Nobody throws serious money at security unless they genuinely believe they're a target. And honestly, that tracks. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Kim's death was never properly investigated, not the way it deserved to be. Her family never got the full, thorough process that might have given them any kind of peace. And think about this. How many people do you know who don't sleep with their phone within arm's reach? So why was every single one of Kim's devices just gone? Her laptop, her cell phone, everything she used to stay connected to her daughters and her family, all of it missing. It gets worse. According to reports, detectives never actually viewed her body in the place where she died. The coroner had already removed her and declared no foul play before investigators even looked. If that's accurate, that case needs to be reopened. Full stop. Now, the documentation shows Kim received a full hour-long massage while she supposedly had full-blown pneumonia. Who gets a massage in that condition? And there's another layer. Gene would later reveal that Diddy's baby oil was typically laced with drugs, which makes that massage detail a lot harder to dismiss. This isn't just about rumors surrounding Diddy. It's about a pattern, a method. Kim Porter's death may have set a precedent. And if what people are saying holds up, that same playbook could have been used again. That's exactly the thread Terrence Howard was pulling on with his accusations. The real question isn't just what happened to Kim. It's why the people closest to this circle kept ending up in tragedy. And speaking out against that power in Hollywood isn't just career suicide. It's total erasure. That's exactly why so many people who've been through it stayed quiet. And honestly, some still are. But Terrence chose to speak anyway. Was that courage? Or was it something closer to having nothing left to lose? Maybe it was both. Drop your take in the comments because we actually read them. Subscribe for more stories the headlines don't tell you. See you in the next one.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He was like, I think he's trying to f you. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.